God damn it, Todd McFarlane, what part of Spider-Man's powers involve him being made of rubber anyway? Hello everybody, this is Brave Sir Robin coming to you from Parts Unknown. Back again with another DVD review, and this time I'm going to be reviewing from the WWE, the Best of the Intercontinental Championship. Not to be confused with History of the Intercontinental Championship, this is a 3-disc set. This is only a 1-disc set, it's about roughly an hour long. I clocked it in at 1 hour, 1 minute. It's pretty short, there's 1 disc to it, so I figured it'd be worth checking out. Also a little advert for Rob Van Dam, One of a Kind, which I also own. It's an interesting little disc here. I got it for pretty cheap from highspots.com. I think I got it for maybe like $5 or so from their clearance section. And it's definitely worth checking out for that. And I figured I'd give my thoughts on it. I found it funny here when I'm reading the back here. It talks about the prestigious Intercontinental Championship, back when it used to be prestigious. It says the title was highly sought after now as it was when Pat Patterson, the first title holder, earned the title in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1979. See, it actually says that there. It's funny they didn't bother to include that match on there. I'd like to see that match someday. Maybe someday we will. But until then, let's check this DVD out and let's see what I thought about it. So I pop in the DVD and we're introduced to the set by Gorilla Monsoon, who's hosting the event and talks about the Intercontinental Championship. This is obviously another re-release of an old Coliseum video like they did a couple times before. I did a review of like a couple of those already, like The Undertaker Buries Him Alive and the Andre the Giant DVD. So the first actual match on here is Shawn Michaels versus Crush from April 1993. For some reason the matches on here aren't in chronological order, so I thought that was kind of strange that they did that. And so it comes Shawn Michaels to the Sherry version of his Sexy Boy theme song, where she used to be singing it, way before he used to. And Crush, of course, Shaka Bra, Crush, Kona Crush from Hawaii. I haven't seen him in a while, so, well, he's dead, but... So Crush, he gets in the ring. Our commentary team is Bobby Heenan, the Macho Man, and Jim Ross, good old JR. So Crush uses his power and HBK bumps like a champ for him, which you'd pretty much expect from this time. Crush was a bit popular at this time. I mean, I'd hardly call him an all-time great or anything, but I remember at the time he was pretty popular. A lot of people thought he probably could be a contender to Yokozuna's title, but I guess he really wasn't. He may have had a couple shots, but he never really made it into legendary status or anything. But he was, you know, people cheered for him at the time, so what else do you want? So Crush, he tries to gorilla press slam Shawn Michaels out of the ring, but referee Danny Davis doesn't allow it. So instead he just press slams him into the ring and then clotheslines him out. There's a lot of out of the ring stalling going on for whatever reason. Shawn Michaels was pretty much known for this at this time anyway, though. Crush misses a shoulder tackle in the corner, and now HBK sends him to the outside with a knee to the back, and then shoves him into the ring post on the outside. HBK keeps wearing Crush down after that with a lot of headlocks and rest holds and stuff. Nothing wrong with that, though. I mean, that's what you expect to do. You expect a big guy like Crush to use his power, and a smaller guy like Shawn Michaels to use his speed. Shawn Michaels tries a super kick, but Crush catches his foot, which is unheard of nowadays. I mean, everybody goes down to the super kick. So he catches his foot and lays him out with a clothesline, then takes control again. HBK rolls to the outside while Crush motions for the head vice. You know, the old thing like Great Khali does it now, or did, and Crush used to do it beforehand. Crush follows him, and then we hear the bell ring. Crush catches up to Shawn Michaels, gets to the back, and beats him down. Then applies the head vice, which if he was smart, he would have done that during the match instead of taunting, but whatever. I guess nobody ever said Crush was smart. So Crush holds up the IC title belt, but Macho Man and Heenan proclaim, "Oh my god, it's a new champion," but Crush only won by countout, so no title change. So the next match on here, we have Bret Hart versus Skinner from Primetime Wrestling in August of 1992. We have Macho Man on commentary again, who says that Hitman's got plans for Skinner, and it's not going to be a dinner. And JR answers, "No dinner for Skinner." And then Macho Man answers, "Skinner's gonna be no winner." Ooh yeah. So early on, Bret and Skinner are doing a crisscross. We have an attempted leapfrog, and while Skinner's jump seemed fine, Bret didn't lower his head low enough and then ends up ramming into Skinner's crotch. And then Macho Man blames the botch on Skinner, I guess because Bret's the star on the rise. More headlocks, and Heenan talks about playing a game called Name That Stain, referring to Skinner's ring attire. Skinner, of course, being the alligator hunter Skinner, you know, played by Steve Kern, who used probably one of the a great tag team wrestler back in his day and great on the territories as well. But in WWF, he was an alligator hunter. So there we go. So after Bret takes a tumble to the outside, Skinner then uses his alligator claw, which he brings to ringside on a rope or on a string. He wears it around his neck, and he uses a foreign object to cheat and jab Bret Hart in the neck a couple times, and also to try to choke Bret with the chain or the string or whatever it was that he had around it. It's a long sequence of rest holds, including Skinner applying the old abdominal stretch and using the ropes, where he holds onto the ropes while he keeps the hold on. Usually this goes on until the referee notices it and then would kick Skinner's arm, then Bret would hip toss him, but not this time. Bret actually just counters the move, and then Skinner counters again, then Bret falls out of the ring, so that was kind of weird. Crowd is dead quiet for this match. I guess they pretty much know Skinner isn't going to win. Skinner climbs the ropes and attempts an axe handle, but Bret was playing possum and hits him with a punch on the way down. Now Bret takes control, and here comes the Russian leg sweep and then the backbreaker. So 2 out of the 5 moves of doom from Bret Hart, but Skinner counters with a whip, Bret whips Skinner to the corner and runs towards Skinner. Skinner gets the boot up and kicks Bret in the face. Skinner attempts to leg drop Bret. First there's a couple knees to the groinal area, I guess. Then he attempts a leg drop, the spot where you hold the guy's legs open, and then you do the leg drop, like the Hardy Boys used to do, I guess, but with one leg. Then he does that. Bret grabs the foot, holds on to it, ties him up while on the ground, and then rolls over it to apply the sharpshooter. And then Skinner submits. Not a bad little match, but really it could have been better. Both guys were kind of on autopilot, and they really didn't give a shit about it. So now, next match from an episode of Raw in July 1993 is Shawn Michaels versus his former tag team partner, Marty Jannetty from the Rockers. So here's a clash of the former Rockers, and HBK now has Diesel on his side, aka Kevin Nash, for those of you who don't know. I'm sure everyone knows that, but whatever. It's an old match from Monday Night Raw. There's part of the build-up to SummerSlam 93, because they keep mentioning the upcoming bouts between Yokozuna and Lex Luger, and between Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect. And we have a new commentary, though. They actually redid the commentary with Jim Ross and Gorilla Monsoon. Though originally you can tell this was done with Macho Man, Vince McMahon, and Bobby Heenan, because they're seen sitting at ringside. So a lot of great counters and reversals. These two obviously know how to work well together. They always did. It's a really quiet crowd for some reason, but it's still a really good match. So early on, Marty hits a DDT and actually gets a 3 count. But HBK's foot was on the ropes, and referee Earl Hebner didn't see it. But Diesel protests, and we go to a commercial break. Well, they fade to black and then come right back, obviously. And then the match is restarted because they showed during the break. Bobby Heenan pointed it out to the referee and showed it to Earl Hebner on the monitor, who then restarts the match. And JR points out that he never knew that instant replay was ever available in the WWF. That's a very good point, JR. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. So the crowd is more into it after we almost saw the title change. I guess they're woke up now thinking that, Shawn might lose this match because he's the heel at the time and nobody likes him. So after a lot more back and forth, there's a second commercial break, which is rare to see. Such a long match on Raw, especially nowadays. And HBK is wearing Marty down with a front face lock. And then he puts his feet on the ropes for extra leverage, but the referee never sees it. And JR points out, the referee can't call what he doesn't see unless he watches it on instant replay. Another good point, JR. Why was there instant replay earlier in this match but not now? But what isn't like Vince McMahon or Macho Man say, hey ref, take a look? But I don't know. I guess that's how it works sometimes. For some odd reason, a whoop, there it is chant breaks out. no trouble telling this is the 90s. Jesus Christ. Who remembers that crap? So Marty is on offense, and HBK falls backwards and ties himself into the ropes. The classic Andre the Giant spot. Strange to see such a smaller wrestler doing it. Usually it's reserved for the bigger men. But Marty charges at him, and HBK escapes. And then Marty tumbles to the outside after a miscrossed body and took a pretty nasty bump on the outside. Diesel then tosses Marty back into the ring. And Shawn covers and then gets the win, retains the title. So JR tries to talk this up like this is some big miscarriage of justice, that Shawn cheated or something, but really he didn't. Unless you count Diesel putting Marty back in the ring, but I guess if the story they're trying to tell is Marty took such a big bump to the outside, I'm guessing he would have been counted out anyway, I guess by getting the pin. Still a good match, though, worth checking out. The crowd wasn't really into it for whatever reason at times, but it's still really good, worth checking out. Probably one of the best reasons to buy this DVD. So now coming up, we have Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect in a match from SummerSlam 1993 in August of that year. A match between two of the all-time best, and they're fighting to prove which one of the two was the better Intercontinental Champion. Hennig is a bit slowed down for this match, as this was after one of his comebacks. He's had a lot of back issues throughout his career, so he had a lot of time off, then he'd come back and then have more time off again, so this is in between that. But he still wrestles very well, actually, and makes Shawn Michaels look really good. Bobby Heenan also sings Shawn Michaels' praises, and you can see even back then that Shawn Michaels was destined for greatness. He'd go on to become a legend, of course. Eventually, Hennig hits the perfect plex, but it is broken up by Diesel, who reaches in from the outside and grabs Hennig's leg, and the referee doesn't see that, though, and breaks up the pin. Hennig goes to the outside and takes the fight to Diesel on the outside, and Shawn tries to sneak attack him. But then he's nailed as he's jumping from the apron. Hennig rolls him back into the ring, get a really weak ref bump. As Shawn is rolling back into the ring, he hits Earl Hebner's feet, and then Earl Hebner topples backwards for whatever reason. Then Diesel uses this chance to send Hennig to the ring post. Earl gets up, doesn't start a new count. He's like, well, I was up to 7. I'll just keep going now. 8, 9, 10. Then Mr. Perfect is counted out, and Shawn Michaels retains. Hennig comes back into the ring to attack Diesel, but Shawn holds onto his arms, and Diesel lays him out with a knockout punch with the gloved hand. I guess at the time they were trying to tell the story of Diesel having a loaded glove. And so while Shawn and Mike Diesel are leaving, Todd Pettengill interrupts them in the aisle and asks Shawn if he's happy with that win. But Shawn says that he's proven himself to be the better Intercontinental Champion. Then Mr. Perfect gets up and gives chase. I'm guessing the plan was for the feud to continue. I'm guessing because of injuries to Curt Hennig that it never did. I can't really remember any blow-off match between the two. I think it wasn't long after this that Shawn was stripped of the title and then Razor Ramon won it. So we never really got a proper payoff to this feud, which is too bad. Two of the all-time greats, and it is a good novelty to see them wrestling each other. So now the last match on this disc from May 1993 on an episode of Monday Night Raw is Shawn Michaels versus Tough Guy Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and who's hugely over at this time. There's a loud USA chant to start off the match. Even though I'm pretty sure Shawn is American, the crowd is wild for Hacksaw Jim Duggan, though. Even in 1993, he was hugely over. I even see super fan Vladimir in the crowd cheering on Jim Duggan. So there's a lot of stall tactics from Shawn, but Duggan tries to keep the crowd alive and does a pretty good job of it. When Michaels is in the ring, Duggan overpowers him. Michaels tries to leave, but Duggan chases him down the aisle, catches up to him, and brings him back for the first commercial break of the match. So there's a lot of back and forth going on there. After the commercial, we see Shawn Michaels attempting a few cheap tactics, but for the most part, Jim Duggan is dominating him. Duggan gets down to the three-point stance, levels Shawn Michaels with the clothesline, who falls to the outside once again. And then, once again, Michaels tries to leave. Duggan follows him, and then they brawl on the outside for a bit. Michaels gets clothesline into the crowd and leaves again, and then we get a count out. The crowd still cheers, but Duggan doesn't win the belt. Not much of a match wrestling-wise, but in terms of crowd reaction, it's pretty worth checking out. There's a lot of energy here watching this match, and so I'd probably watch this if I remember right, this led to a lumberjack match between Shawn Michaels and Jim Duggan, which for some reason they didn't include on this disc. They probably should have, though, just so we would get the complete storyline. So here we go, here's my review of the best of the Intercontinental Championship. Not a bad little disc. Like I said, I got it for pretty cheap off of highspots.com. You could probably find it in a few clearance bins somewhere. I'd say it's worth checking out. It is pretty short, like I said, only an hour and 1 minute. There's 5 matches on there. 4 of the 5 include Shawn Michaels, but that's not a bad thing at all. The other is a Bret Hart match. Really worth checking out to see the Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty match. I'd say that was probably the best one on there. If I had to pick a worse, as much as I hate to say it, probably Bret Hart versus Skinner. You know I'm such a huge Bret Hart fan, so I hate to call them the worst match, but they would, like I said, they were just on autopilot and didn't care, so it wasn't as great as you really think it would have been. Maybe they just couldn't clash well together. So, like I said, if you find it for cheap, check it out. It's worth it. I mean, it's a good addition to any collection, just to get a few odd matches that you'll probably never get in any other set. So until next time, make sure you can follow me on Facebook, or you can like my page on Facebook. You can follow my Twitter, and feel free to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below if you like what you saw. Also, if you like what you saw, one of my friends here, he calls himself the American Samurai. He's doing some DVD reviews. He's got a whole lot of videos up now. I'll probably put a link to his channel below too, so you can check him out. You could probably use the views too. So it is good to see anybody else that's doing the same thing I'm doing. He's reviewed a few things that I reviewed, but he does it differently, so it's worth checking out. He's a cool guy, so he gave me a plug, so I'll give him one back. So until next time, this is Brave Sir Robin signing off. See you then.